considering all possibilities, whether or not he was coerced, doing something against his will, or a suspect.
What sounds like the scene out of an action-packed movie plays out on the streets in New Britain and Bristol when the executive of a credit union ends up outside his bank with an apparent explosive device strapped to his body. Good evening. Police still trying to get their bearings on this one. No arrests have been made, but they are looking for suspects.
Yeah, tonight we're learning the man linked to the dramatic chain of events is an executive at the Achieve Financial Credit Union. Nearby streets were shut down. Schools as far away as Farmington were sent into lockdown as bomb squads stormed the New Britain Bank and the victim's home in Bristol. Tonight we have team coverage beginning with Fox Connecticut's Jim Altman live at the scene of the bank in New Britain with the very latest on the police investigation. Jim.
And good afternoon, Brent and Audrey. Well, it was a crazy morning here in New Britain, just off West Street here. Let me give you a live look at the scene here. This is the credit union we've been talking about. We've been here for most of the day. Still some police presence here at the Achieve Financial Credit Union. You can see the bank now empty. It has, of course, been evacuated since about 8:30 this morning. This plot began overnight in Bristol, and that's when the suspects broke into the home of Matthew Yussman. Matthew Yussman is the CFO of this credit union here in New Britain. According to police sources, we understand the suspect placed a device on Yussman. It may or may not have been an explosive device. This was all part of a plan to rob the bank here on West Main Street in New Britain. Now, this is when police and the bomb squad began to close in on the scene. Some area schools were put in lockdown, as were some nearby.
Shortly after 8 a.m. today, area police agencies began to investigate a report of a home invasion that had occurred in Bristol overnight at 133 Lufkin Lane. Information was developed that linked that incident to an alleged scheme to steal money from Achieve Financial Credit Union located here in New Britain at 450 West Main Street. New Britain police officers did respond to the Achieve Financial Credit Union, where they encountered an adult male in a motor vehicle who had what appeared to be an explosive device strapped to his person.
But everyone working together, teamwork, and taking what could have been a tragic situation resolved very well, and I have no doubt that we will apprehend the people who are at the start of this.
Of course, neighbors in Bristol say they are shocked to learn such a horrifying crime could play out in their own backyard.
Fox Connecticut's Louisa Mueller continues tonight's live team coverage from Bristol with more on the banker and what his neighbors are saying tonight. Louisa?
Audrey, Brent, that's right. But first, I want to direct you to the scene that's still active and, still developing at this hour, as we've heard multiple times. If you take a look behind me, you can see that gray house with the double-door garage. That is where we have learned that Matthew Yussman lives with his mother. And, of course, early this morning around 8 o'clock, police arrived there after a report of a home invasion with a robust presence that has caused many to be surprised around here.
I tried to call Val and she doesn't answer the phone, so I have no idea. So I drove down here because I was afraid there might be a connection.
Panic set in as Susan Amenta learned about two linked police scenes, one at the home of her best friend, Valerie Yussman. Amenta says Yussman lives at 133 Lufkin Lane in Bristol with her son, Matthew. And on Monday, the seemingly quiet street was a very busy crime scene with police presence from several area departments and some serious SWAT artillery.
I just want to know how Val is, what's going on.
What's going on appears to be directly related to Matthew Yussman's job. According to his LinkedIn page, Yussman has been the chief financial officer for Achieve Financial Credit Union since 2001. But Amenta says he's also a sweet man who enjoys sports and family.
He's busy, he plays hockey all the time, he has for years. He's kind of keeps to himself, but he has this little group of friends. He's a really good guy.
Those close to the Yussmans were not the only ones who got a scare from the situation.
He took this before I was home. I guess this was basically when the SWAT team came.
Take neighbors Carol Shappy and her daughter Bevan Udo.
I looked outside and there was one police cruiser blocking our street. And the policeman was walking around with one of those semi-automatic weapons. My son-in-law was filming and it kind of looked like I was watching a motion picture right outside my door.
And then my phone rang. She actually called me, so I was like, oh my God. So I answered it and she goes, they said there could be a bomb, there was a home invasion, that I should get out of the neighborhood. And I was like, oh my God.
Now, again, this is an active situation. As you can see, Lufkin Lane is still blocked off. There's a mobile crime scene unit behind me. But we did learn from police that when they arrived here this morning, there was only one person at the home, and there are no reported injuries. Live here in Bristol, Louisa Moeller, Fox, Connecticut.
All right, Louisa, thank you very much. And as always, we'll continue following this developing story on our website. Just head to foxct.com.
Another developing story from the typically quiet campus of Wesleyan University tonight. A bad batch of the drug Molly sent nearly a dozen students to the hospital over the weekend.
Tonight, at least 2 are still in critical condition. Now police are trying to figure out the source of the drug. Fox Connecticut's Tony Terzi joins us live from a house on the edge of campus where many of the 6 students attended a party.
Guys,
Tony?
here on High Street, 200 High Street, is what's called the Eclectic House, or the Eclectic Society on campus. The house behind me with the pillars. Now, I looked at the calendar, and the only thing I could glean from the calendar for the Eclectic House was that there was a swim team event there, and many kids and others on campus say that's where those who OD'd were before the ambulances were called. Early this afternoon, Wesleyan University's president said 10 students and 2 guests were admitted to area hospitals on Sunday following an overdose of Molly, which is a derivative of ecstasy.
It's been around since the 60s, but it sort of comes in waves in its popularity, and we're seeing a rise in its popularity right now.
In part because some famous artists, including Miley Cyrus,
Got the Molly and you know you'll never stop.
and Tyga featuring Wiz Khalifa are glorifying Molly.
I've been searching everywhere and I can't seem to find Molly.
According to Middletown Police, 2 patients are in critical condition and 2 remain serious, all 4 at Hartford Hospital.
It's specifically increasing the amounts of dopamine and serotonin circulating in the brain, and that's where we find the problems.
One sophomore tells us all of the students who OD'd are also sophomores.
I was off campus for the weekend, and I come back to a very disconcerting series of emails saying that people have been hospitalized for drug overdoses.
Dr. Nevin says treating patients who've taken Molly have become more prominent over the last several years, typically more of a problem in the summer months, though.
And that usually happens when the rave dance concert scene comes up in the summer.
The best advice, he says, be leery of any drugs someone invites you to try.
And a drug dealer is not going to tell you what's in that magic pill they're selling you.
I already know not to mess with that stuff. I've heard enough bad stories, just none so close to home.
Wesleyan University is getting the assistance of both Middletown Police and the State Forensic Lab in its investigation into exactly where this batch of Molly might have come from. They say, Middletown Police do, that Molly has been known to be around the Middletown area over the last several years. We're live on High Street on the Wesleyan campus. Tony Terzi, Fox, Connecticut.
All right, Tony, thank you. Some more info here. Molly has been blamed for numerous overdoses in the past, including the deaths of 2 concertgoers at the Electric Zoo Music Festival in New York City back in 2013. In 2011, hospitals reported more than 22,000 related emergency visits, according to the Drug Abuse Warning Network. The drug is a refined and, in fact, more powerful form of ecstasy and can drive up body temperature and cause liver or kidney damage or even cardiovascular failure.
It's back. Another blast of Arctic air, feeling especially painful after temperatures soared into the 30s yesterday.
Yeah, but that was short-lived, wasn't it?
Short-lived.
They weren't gone for long. The temperatures are expected to dip way below 0 tonight. Fox Connecticut's Matt Scott is on the Weather Watch. Matt, how low are we?
Some areas getting to the 40s yesterday. And yes, that too, a thing of the past. Temperatures plunging all day long, got to the lower 20s for highs earlier this afternoon. And for the last 3 or 4 hours, we've been in a free fall across the board. We've only just begun with that. Records are going down. It's likely for tomorrow. -4 is the old record at Bradley up at Hartford, Windsor Locks. Bridgeport's old record +12. Neither one stands a chance. Everybody going in the minus column tonight, temperature-wise. And that before you factor factoring the winds. Clear skies across the board, clearing skies, we should say. Not a lot to show you and nothing to stop the temperatures from dropping. We're at 15 right now in Hartford, 19 in New Haven, already down to 6 in Norfolk. But watch as we run the computer models over the next 12 hours. Look how quickly we get to the minus reading, 0 to -6 by 10:30 tonight. And by midnight, we start to get to double-digit territory. Look at these numbers. Possibly 17 below in Enfield, 14 below in Putnam, Old Saybrook, even down on the shore, 11 below in New Haven. So stand by, got some trouble with this. Wind chill advisory in effect for the northern counties. Even the southern counties will get under the winds as well out of the northwest. Up to 30 miles an hour for the gusts. We expect the winds to subside throughout your Tuesday, but by then the damage is going to be done. Dangerous wind chills tomorrow morning with the record-breaking cold coming into play. Looking at a potential of 10 to 30 degrees below zero for the wind chill. So at the bus stop, cover up, lots of layers, cover up all exposed skin or else it's going to hurt. More sun, less heat for your Tuesday. And down the line, you could say that for a few more days in the 7-day forecast. We'll break it all down for you. We're on the weather watch for cold temperatures. We'll talk about it coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Matt, thank you. A Waterbury woman accused of a drunken hit and run that left a 20-year-old dead faced a judge on manslaughter charges today. Investigators say Albertina Lopez was over the limit when she struck Natalis Montalvo near the intersection of Meriden and South Maid Roads Friday night. Cops picked up 48-year-old Lopez at her home after a witness tipped them off. She's now facing nearly half a dozen charges, including second-degree manslaughter and felony evading responsibility.
Additional arrests expected in a massive cockfighting operation bust in East Windsor over the weekend. 40 people were arrested during Saturday's raid at Major Auto USA on South Main Street. Police say they discovered 53 fighting birds, 4 of which were dead, at the part mom and pop dealership Park cockfighting ring. A gun and more than $100,000 in cash also confiscated from the scene. Paperwork is in the works to arrest 68 additional suspects involved in the ring. The birds are now in the care of the Department of Agriculture.
Next at 5, add a cash, one of the governor's first 5 investments, throwing in the towel for now. What's next for the Back 9 Network and its investors?
And about how big was this gun?
Like this big.
A housekeeper for Erin Hernandez on the stand. What else she says she found stashed all over the former Patriot star's home.
Joey Logano wins the Daytona 500.
Town champ, Middletown native Joey Logano speaking out to Fox Connecticut on the heels of last night's big win at last night's Daytona 500. You're watching the Fox Connecticut News at 5.